Hello. Can anyone see me? And can you let me know if and when you have joined me? I felt like I was about to break into song and dance then. But I hope you guys are good. And I hope you're ready for a Q&A. I'm just going to double check to see if you're here and you can hear me, can you let me know in the chat? I don't know if you guys remember this, but I think it was last time I went live actually. It was set for some reason on YouTube. It was setting my live sessions. Oh, you can't see me. Hold on. Okay, I think you can see me now. For some reason, when I was going live last time, it would set my YouTube settings, like on YouTube. It kept on assuming that my content was made for kids. So it was stopping all of your comments from coming through. Do you guys remember that? So anyway, I just wanted to check that that's not happening now. So let's see if we're all good. I am going to use this session just to answer any questions that you guys have because I feel like every time I've done a live event in the past, I used to do like training sessions through the Creator Project, which I am going to bring back this year, by the way. But every time I would do them, the bit that would get the most engagement was always the Q&A. Like that was always the bit that people were asking a lot of questions for. So I figured, do you know what? Why not just do a few Q&As, you know? Here we go. I can see you guys. I know you couldn't see me at the start. I don't know why. Speaking of which, also in terms of sometimes I just think I'm not meant to go live because 2 seconds before I was about to dial into this live, I was in my office and I was actually really excited to do this live from my lovely office with like my nice studio. I've just gotten done decorating it. I mean, there's like one more painting I want to get or like some kind of print that I want to get. But other than that, I've pretty much decorated it and it's got the lights in the background and I had my microphone set up and I was so excited to dial in and just have this really great setup. And then my internet died. And I don't know why. I've got like one of those booster boxes because my office is in the garden. So like it's quite a while away from the house. So you need another box to get the internet. And it literally 2 seconds before the live, it was like, no. And that's the first time it's ever done that. It just dropped off and was like, no. So I had to run to the house with my laptop. Sometimes I wonder if my neighbors see me. They probably think I'm such a weirdo running from one part of the garden to the next, usually with like camera equipment. Anyway, this is a Q&A, guys. So have a think about any questions that you have um, about anything. Like it could be about me if you want. It could be about content creation. It could be about social media. It could be about anything. Also, in case you were wondering, I stream all of my lives on Riverside because a lot of people don't realize that Riverside has streaming features. Like, did you guys know this? So, this is literally all done inside Riverside Studio, who you guys will know is one of my long-term sponsors of my channel. Riverside is such a powerful editing app and also like filming application as well, or website rather. When you stream live on Riverside, it's automatically saved. You can edit, repurpose all of your content afterwards with literally just a few clicks. If you guys haven't seen me talk about their co-creator yet, it's basically like a chat bot which lives inside Riverside and it literally can turn your live into a short form vertical video, into an edited long form YouTube video, into a blog post, into an email newsletter, like all of that stuff with just a few clicks. Like it's so powerful. So yeah, thank you to Riverside for sponsoring my lives. Absolutely love that for me. And of course, as always, you can use code Jade Beeson to get 15% off Riverside when you are upgrading your plan. Let's head to the chatbot. And someone said, congrats on 300K. Thank you. So exciting. What's the biggest lesson you have learned from growing your YouTube channel? Anything you would have done differently? Oh, what a good question. What's the biggest lesson I've learned? I think a lesson that I learned very quickly and very early on was how true the statement that what people think of you is none of your business. Like, I feel like we've heard that phrase quite often, and it's quite often peddled out to us when we say things like, I'm worried about getting trolled or I'm worried about getting hate online. But I had a moment, maybe like 3 months into my video starting to take off, where I thought back to that quote, and I just feel like it was the first time I ever fully understood it. Like, I ever really sat with that quote and the idea that people's comments on my content actually has everything to do with them and nothing to do with me. I don't know, like a light bulb went off where I felt like I really, really actually understood that. And it's changed my outlook on everything, to be honest, but it's also made it so easy, or at least so much easier, to create content and share it online, because I just feel like I have a really good relationship with hate comments. Is that a weird thing to say? So that's probably the biggest lesson that I learned, just not to take everything that everyone says personally, you know? Anything I would have done differently? Yes, I would have started sharing short form content way sooner. Way sooner. I've spoken about this before, but like, I dragged my feet with short form vertical content. So with YouTube Shorts, with TikToks, with Instagram Reels, I didn't jump on them anywhere near as quickly as I should have. And I knew I needed to jump on it. But you know, when you get that creative block, I feel like everyone on this live right now will be able to relate with what I'm saying. When you get that feeling where you know what you should be doing, like what content you should be creating, but there's just something that's like it almost feels like a physical barrier stopping you to do it. That's how I felt about short form content for a long time, because I'm a millennial and I grew up in the days of long form videos and photos. Like, everything was photos. And it just took me a long time to get my head around this whole short form vertical life. But if I could do it again, I would do that differently, because I know that I missed out on a lot of growth. But growth for the sake of growth isn't really valuable. I have an amazing audience, you guys, and it's an incredible size. So no complaints from me, but that's probably one thing I would do differently. But also no regrets, because then life wouldn't be how it is now. And I love my life right now. Hi Jade, can you please share, where are you searching for your future topics on your channel? There's no one destination. So there's usually a few different places that I'll look to. First of all, I'll keep an eye on comments, and I like to keep in terms of topics and stuff, I like to keep it as like a running thing. So I have an idea note on my notepad on my iPhone and on my phone, and I update it with time, because I think best ideas, best topics will come to you at random times, right? So I will keep this updated. And if people comment something, asking a question, if a certain part of my video is replayed quite often, and so I'm getting the inkling that maybe that requires a deep dive, then I'll keep an eye on all of that stuff, and I'll make note of all the different topics as I go through my comment section. And then there's also some specific tools. So I used to use contentideas.io, but I haven't used that in a while. Google Trends is a great place. It's going to give you first party data on what people are searching for on Google, which is very valuable for YouTubers, because it's the same engine that powers YouTube as well. And then, of course, inside YouTube Studio itself, there is now a trends area in your analytics tab. There's an inspiration tab as well. I don't often find topics that often in that area at the moment, but they're always evolving it. So I think it will just kind of get better and more relevant. For me, it ends up showing me a lot of topics that I've already spoken about. So it doesn't quite work for me, but it might be really valuable for you, because it's going to give you data on what your audience are currently watching. So yeah, a few different places. I hope that helps. Hi Jade, are you able to give us a rundown on how you built your social media management agency? Yes, and I love talking about this. I have a whole video on this as well. I filmed it a little while ago, and so much has changed. Literally every week I'm like, oh, this feels like a different company. But it's worth giving that a watch. I filmed it towards the back end of last year. So how I built it. All right, where do I begin? What I actually did was potentially unconventional, and I'm not going to necessarily say that you do the same thing, but the way I work is, once I've decided I want to do something, I want to do it right now. I'm not the most patient person in the world. I want to get the word out straight away. So what I did was I picked the name, I got the domain, it's called Social People. And I didn't have a team, but I just launched it. And by launching it, I just told my existing audience, hey, I have an agency now. And I created a sign up form for people to register interest if they wanted to work with me. And I just left it at that. What my strategy was to do that and then build the back end afterwards. So things like the official website that we're working on right now, defining what our USP is and like our messaging, figuring out what clients we want to serve, coming up with like processes, like onboarding processes, the different packages that we're going to offer, the tools that we use. This was all stuff that I was like, oh, it's fine. I'll just launch it, get a few small clients, and then do everything else on the back end as I grow. What ended up happening was that I got some incredible clients very quickly in the journey, which I'm so grateful for. But what that also meant was that I had to speed track everything else. So I very quickly had to hire a team, and I was very lucky because my first two hires were freelancers for my personal brand in the past, so I already knew that they were great. So I moved them over, made them full time, got a freelancer, built the team literally within like 2 weeks. It was really, really stressful. And then from there, I'm still in the building stage of the back end where I now have a full team. I work with an OBM who's an online business manager who's amazing. And we're building up all the systems and stuff in the back end to make sure the delivery is flawless. And then we're also creating the brand kit and doing the website. And then what we're going to do in around April, May time is do another big relaunch, like an official launch, do a big PR push. And we can do it knowing that the back end is ready and we're really ready to scale. So that was kind of an overview of like, I guess the question was like how I built it, but I haven't finished. We've only been around for 8 months and it's growing really well, which I'm so happy about, but we're still very much in the middle of it, which is why I love talking about it. So let me know if you have any other specific questions about the agency and I'd be more than happy to answer. Um, let's have a look at any other questions. How do I script my videos? Like, what's the process? So I usually prompt my videos, which means I don't write word for word what I'm trying to say. The reason why I do this is because it allows me to speak more freely and I think it helps my personality come across, whereas some people are better at reading scripts. So it's just about figuring out what works best for you. Once I've got the topic idea that I want to work on, I usually sit down and do an outline of all the different parts that I need to hit in order for me to get the desired outcome. So if I'm filming a video today and this week that's all about long form content versus short form content. And the idea is that by the end of the video, you'll know exactly which format you should be hedging your bets on for this year, like which is actually going to help you grow, which one's going to help you earn the most money. So because I already know what the outcome of the video is before I sit down to prep it, I work backwards and think, okay, well, if this is what I want people to leave the video knowing, then what do I have to do in order to get them there? Right? Something that I'm now starting to do as part of this process is to integrate more storytelling into it. So now it's not just how can I teach someone something, but how can I take you along on the journey of me discovering this topic in more detail, and then at the end being really clear on what the action plan is off the back of that. You'll start to see that more in my content moving forward, because the video I'm filming this week is probably the first time I've really done that, and it's so much more work, but it's really fun. So yeah, I work backwards and then I just kind of build out the main points I need to cover, and then from there I dive into these specific points underneath that. And if that involves some desktop research, interviewing people to get more information, then that's what I do as part of the process as well. And I put it all into a Word document, and then yeah, I just use that when I film. I love Riverside. I use it for all of the masterclasses within my community. Amazing. I'm really excited to use the masterclass feature on Riverside once I start doing them again for the Creator Project, because I haven't done masterclasses in a while, and I used to use so many other tools and they were never quite right, but the masterclass feature inside of Riverside looks amazing. So I'll definitely do like a video or something on that once I start using it, because I'm really excited to give it a go. Hi Poppy, what strategy would you recommend when starting out as a creator wanting to get into thought leadership? I'm in fashion designer, and media, videography, and photography. What a good question. What strategy do you recommend when starting out as a creator wanting to get into thought leadership? I think one of the first things I'd recommend you do is figure out the format first. So this is specific for people who want to get into thought leadership, because there are so many ways you can do that. So like, do you want to be a written thought leader? So by that, I mean, do you want to be doing blog posts and featured articles and Substacks? Do you want to be predominantly a video creator who is positioned as a thought leader? Do you want it to be short form or long form? I actually think let the format be one of the first things you consider, because then you can really hone in on that and get really good at it. So if it's going to be long form, then you can focus on creating long form content like YouTube videos, or even like TikTok videos can be up to 60 minutes. don't perform as well, but it is possible. Or you can straight away know that Substack is the route you want to go down. Because if you are considering Substack, then the sooner you decide that's the way you want to go, the better. So I actually think that's the first thing you do. And then the second thing you do is get really specific about what you want to be known for within that space. So you mentioned you're a fashion designer and you're also into videography and photography, which is great. Those two things merge seamlessly. But even from that point, I would dig a little deeper and really figure out what you want to be known for. That's usually where content pillars come in. So when you have like 3 to 5 different pillars or themes or topics, whatever you want to call them, that you rotate consistently through your content, that helps you become known for stuff. I reckon most people on this live right now probably know me for, Instagram tips and earning money as a creator and YouTube tips. And it's because I recycle those things so often. So really get granular about what you want to be known for and make sure at least 80% of your content, whichever format you pick, is reflective of those things. The other 20% could just be whatever you want. It should just be your life. I hope that helps. Happy Black History Month to all. How many years did it take me to go viral on YouTube? Now, let's preference my answer by saying that I did start YouTube in November 2020. People were online a lot more. And also, that was exactly when there was a huge interest in my expertise, which is marketing, creator economy. So, with that caveat, it took me 6 months. Actually, no, it didn't. It took me 4 months before I got my first video, which had 1,000 views. The reason why I say that in terms of viral is because that video very quickly went on to 10,000 views within like a week of that. And I think now sits at like a few 100,000 maybe. It was one of my most viral videos and it was very quickly, it was very soon in my journey. But keep those caveats in mind because in marketing, we talk about like micro and macro environmental factors, and your micro is more to do with things that you can kind of control, and then you've got macro that you can't. So for me, starting to share content at a time where there was a pandemic and people were online more, that was a macro environmental factor that I couldn't control. I had nothing to do with, but actually positively impacted my journey. So keep that in mind because it's not to say that it will happen that quickly for everyone, basically. Um, how many years? Me. So they won't already be looking for it. Hope you're well. Hold on, let me just go back so I can remember what the question was. Hey, I'm about to launch, there we go. I'm about to launch human design Instagram. It's exciting. But how do I approach the whole SEO, keywords, etc. to let Instagram know what my content is about when my goal is for people to discover human design? Okay, so how do you approach SE through me? Sorry, that was the second bit of your comment, through me, so they won't already be looking for it. Oh, I see what you're saying. So it's like your audience aren't necessarily aware of human design yet. So another marketing thing I'm going to throw at you. There's this tool, shall we call it? I don't know what to call it. This way of thinking about your messaging in marketing. It's called the 5 stages of problem awareness. And it's basically when you think about your audience and you think about how aware are they of the problem that you're solving. And it sounds like for you, they're like really on the unaware scale. So what you then have to do is figure out what the topics and the keywords are that people who are completely unaware of human design would be searching for that aren't related to human design. And I've got to be honest with you, I don't know much about human design as a niche, so you might have to help me out here. But is there something, it's to do with self-improvement, right? And understanding yourself on a deeper level. So are there some keywords and some topics around self-improvement that maybe you can focus on? Because then that's more likely to be searched for by your audience. And then that's how you introduce them to human design. Let me know if I've understood your question correctly, because I may have just completely got that wrong. Okay, Ari, short form content. Please share if there is an optimal time length you'd recommend. There's not. I'm so sorry, Hannah. This is one of those questions that I wish I could be like, yeah, it's actually exactly 33 seconds. There's not. Now, some would argue that 30 to 90 seconds is optimal. Most brands, when you work with them, for example, they'll try and get you to create something that's under 90 or 60 seconds. The reason, though, why a lot of people think that way is because the longer your video, the harder it is for you to keep the pace up and keep the retention good, which is why people normally think go shorter because it's easier for you to keep that retention. With that being said, if you create a longer video, like 3-minute video on TikTok, and it's got really good retention, that will do way better than if you had put it into a 60-second video. Like if the retention was just as good for both formats, the longer 3-minute one will actually perform better, because every social media platform wants to champion content that's longer. That's why platforms like TikTok pay you more when you create longer content. It's why you can't get paid on TikTok unless your videos are a minute. Do you see what I'm saying? So the answer is, let the content dictate how long the video should be. So some of my videos, for example, on short form might only be, I mean, they're rarely 30 seconds because I'm not very good at shutting up. But let's say I upload something that's 30 seconds versus a video that was 2 minutes. I didn't necessarily sit down and say, okay, what's the optimum length? I planned out what the video was going to be about. I made sure the pacing was good. And whatever the length was, the length was. Do you see what I mean? I hope that helps. Also, by the way, guys, I'm going to stay on this for another 20 minutes and then I'll have to log off. I hope that's okay. I'll try and get through as many as I can in terms of questions. In terms of workflow for your agency, what does that look like for you and your team? How do you stay sane? I don't. Such a good question. Do you know what? This is the first time in the agency's journey where I could confidently say that I feel fine and I feel sane. I had about 6 months of complete burnout, crying almost every day. I mean, I vlogged it at one point. So if you want to see me crying, it is on my YouTube channel. I didn't in the beginning. The reason why things feel better now, and maybe this is why this workflow will help you, is I, first of all, have hired people who are quite senior. Like, we are in the middle of hiring a senior account manager. I have 2 other senior account managers and I have an account director. Now, that was kind of intentional when it came to trying to get me to get some, quality of life back, because as great it is to have a mixture of different levels, and in the future we'll definitely get more junior people on board, what the company needed at the time was more senior people so that I could take a step back. So it's about figuring out how much energy you could put into training your team. Obviously you need to train them to a certain extent to know how to work for you, but in terms of training them on how to work with a client and how to create great social media content, it's understanding how much time you have to put into that and being okay with knowing that you don't have the time and therefore you have to invest heavily on more senior people. Because really the reason why I've managed to stay sane is because I've got a really good team, and that is what's keeping us afloat. It's also, I have outsourced some tasks that the average founder would not have outsourced yet. Average founder as if I'm like above average. That's not what I mean. I more mean if I didn't have these other businesses, I wouldn't have outsourced these tasks so soon. So for example, I mentioned I've got an online business manager called Steph. She's incredible. We use a platform called ClickUp. She's setting all the ClickUp up from scratch. She's creating all the standard operating procedures, which is basically documents that people can look at to figure out how to do different things in the agency, right? She's doing all of that. She's setting up our client management system. She's doing all of it. And I probably would have done that myself if I had more time. So honestly, how I stay sane is the team. And in terms of workflows, it's documenting everything. Every single part of your company, start documenting it from now. And that's what the SOPs are, the standard operating procedures. Do it as soon as you can, and brief it out to the team if you have a team, but keep them on file, because the more record you have of it, the easier it is to hand things over, and handing things over is what's going to keep you sane. I hope that helps. I'd love to talk to you about how you started social media from zero to where you are now, perhaps an idea for a future video. Okay, for sure. That's actually a really good idea, because I have a video about like how I became a full-time content creator in 6 months, and that's like super detailed on that journey. So I recommend watching that. But I don't have like an updated one of what kind of happened after those first 6 months. So yeah, I'll potentially do a video on that, because it's been a journey. Honestly, a lot of it, if I was to sum up a couple of things, like a couple of ways that I was able to get to this point, I don't want to say consistency, but I'm going to say it, but just stick with me. I have been very consistent across pretty much all my channels, but people talk about consistency a lot, and I don't think we talk about it the right way. I personally think the most valuable part of being consistent and creating content consistently is that you're able to create better content quickly. Think about it. The more consistent you are, the more content you create. The more content you create, the more practice you get. The easier it is for you to present on camera. The easier it is for you to edit your content. The easier it is for you to figure out what makes a good piece of content. All of this stuff, it doesn't happen unless you do it. And the more times you do it, the easier you'll find creating really high quality content. And so I think that's what's helped me the most, honestly. And I'm still so much in that phase. Like every video I do, I'm like, okay, that could have been better, but how could I make it better? So I think that's what's helped me the most, to be honest. And also having a team, can't stress that enough. Um, okay, I have 4,944 followers. Congratulations. It's basically 5,000. Huge milestone. And I used to get 10K views on my videos, but now I struggle to get 2K views. And I still use the same formula, fashion content. Two things. I recently realized that my TikTok was being penalized because I had a really old video that broke community guidelines. I don't know how it did. It was one of my like content to cash videos. So I don't know who decided that, but I found it and I've deleted it. And I actually think that was a big reason why my content on TikTok started to not perform as well. So have a look through all your previous content to see if you've got anything that's been flagged as breaking community guidelines and delete it. Second thing, if that's not the reason, unfortunately, just because something worked once doesn't mean it's going to continue working, and it's such a sad reality. But the pace at which social media moves means that we actually have to be updating our content style and strategy every 6 months, which is ridiculous, and I fight it all the time, but that is just the reality of social media. So if that format worked before and it's not working for you now, my advice is to experiment some new formats and to experiment for at least a few months, look back at the data, see which format was performing the best, and then go all in on that. Hi Jade, life question. Ooh. Are you afraid of failure or are you afraid of success? Ooh, good, going deep. Um, what I'm scared of is unfulfilled potential. There is a quote in the movie The Circle, great film, and is it Emma Watson in The Circle? I think it's Emma Watson, or is it? I can't remember. The main character, she's having an interview for this company called Circle, and they say like, "What's your biggest fear?" And she said, "Unfulfilled potential." I remember when I heard that, it just hit me so deep because I was like, that is it for me. It's not a success or a failure thing. It's like the idea of having lots of ideas and lots of ambition and lots of energy to make really cool stuff and do really cool things and just not doing it, not going after it and never knowing what I could have done. Like that scares me more than anything else. Um, I will say sometimes recently I'm like, oh, I think I may have fulfilled the potential. Sometimes I'm like, I think I might be pushing myself a bit beyond what I originally thought I'd be doing, but that's a good thing as well. So I hope that answers your question. If I had to pick between failure or success, like which am I most scared of, it'd be failure. Actually, wait. No, I don't think I'm that scared of failure anymore because it's like if it fails, I'll just do something else. Then success, I guess, probably success, because if we're really talking about it, the idea of being so successful that I don't know, I have millions and millions of people in my audience and everyone's watching every single thing that I do, like that does scare me. Or like you guys know that I don't share much of my personal life online. Like the idea of being so successful that I can't keep that barrier, that's quite scary to me. So I hope that answers your question. What can you say to someone who creates content about entertainment? Please give me at least 5 tips about that. Okay, it's very specific. I'm not going to necessarily give you 5 specific tips. I will give you as many tips as I could think of. If I'm being honest, I probably need more information. Um, like, what are you struggling with when it comes to creating content about entertainment? So yeah, I actually think I would put that back on you. Like, what first of all, what type of content? What entertainment could be quite broad. So, what type of entertaining content do you create? And also, um, yeah, I think I just need more information, and then I'll give you as many tips as I can think of. I can't promise it's going to be 5. What one book or course on marketing could you suggest for beginners? Oh my God, great question. Okay, Adobe Digital Academy. I'm just doing a partnership with them right now. They have some really good courses, and they're available on Coursera, YouTube, and LinkedIn Learning. And they have some great digital marketing courses. So I would recommend that. I'm sharing a video about, actually, keep an eye out for this because I'm sharing a video about that as part of the partnership. And I actually break down some of the key learnings from one of the courses that I did. And inside that video, there's a link to the course and stuff. That's going to be going live this week, I think. So keep an eye out for that. But it's really good. Um, Hi Jade, thank you for this. I'm having issues with storytelling for my brand. How do you research on what to talk about? Storytelling is not necessarily something you can research, which is why sometimes it can be really difficult. I really recommend watching my videos on storytelling. I've got two, I think, on my YouTube channel that will help you because it's more about forming a narrative. Like it's not something that you could research. It's more like you sitting down with yourself and come and trying to figure out what story and what narrative you can tell that links your video together. I know that's an annoying answer because you probably want me just to say, yeah, go on storytelling.com. But it's more of like a process for you to sit down. It's a great bit of deep work. Maybe block out a couple of hours of a day and just really immerse yourself in that video that you want to create and really start to ask yourself, what story can I tell around that? Totally understood. Thank you. No problem. That makes sense. I'm thinking along the lines of people who are very type B, but trying to live like type A professionals type of, and feel like they're failing. Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds like a great route. What are my favorite podcast recommendations? Love that question. Let me get my podcast up. I do feel like I need some new ones. Recently, I feel like I've been in a bit of a drought. Um, but if I tell you my favorite, like, educational ones, because I feel like that's probably what you're asking. The Get Paid podcast, I listen to quite a few of those episodes. I love it because they talk about money, and I love it when people are really upfront about money. So I do love that one. Um, CIM marketing podcast is a great one for people who want to understand the foundations of marketing on a deeper level. It's I would say it's like intermediate to advanced, so just keep that in mind. Working Hard by Grace Beverly. What's thingy's called that I was listening to it this morning? The Mel Robbins podcast. I think it's just called the Mel Robbins podcast. Great motivational one. I listen to an episode almost every morning. She just released one about designing your life yesterday, and I've been listening to it and I love it so far. It's one of my favorite ones that she's done. PR Week, which again is more about like marketing and stuff. I've just started listening to Creator Playbooks. I've only listened to one episode, but it was pretty good. The Campaign podcast, again, more about like agency, social media marketing, like marketing world, advertising world, I should say. Yeah, that's a few of them. There's probably so many more, but I hope that helps. Does your agency cover creators who want to do UGC? I want to do UGC, but I truly want an agency or a manager. Different type of agency. You're talking about a talent management agency. So those are people who have creators under their books and they get brand deals for them. My agency is a social media content creation agency. So we create content for the brands and for the personal brands that we manage. So we literally take their social media channels, we create a social media strategy, and we film and produce and share and create all the content for them. So different kind of agency. So I'm not your gal, unfortunately. Thank you for the media company. How do you recommend we position ourselves to help companies and other creators with social media from a production perspective, not social media management, but strategy and storytelling to production? I struggle to define the offer that we can monetize. How do you recommend we position ourselves to help companies and other creators with social media from production? Okay, so you're a production agency. That's the first thing I would say. So not social media management, but strategy and storytelling. So you're a production agency, and this is probably one of the main reasons why you're finding it difficult to communicate your offer. You're a production agency, not a social media marketing agency. So that's the first thing I would say. And then you could position yourself as a production agency that specializes in social first content. That is like the exact wording I would use. I hope that helps. How do you build a how do you build community in such a saturated space? Thank you so much for answering these questions so well. You're welcome. So it's interesting because, first of all, didn't even say anything. First of all, every niche is saturated, but every niche was saturated before someone went in it and like absolutely dominated it. Do you know what I mean? So try not to let the saturation be something that you even consider, because I think it can really hold us back if we think there's no space for us. So I think that's the first thing I would say. The second thing is that I have to be aware of the fact that when I started talking about marketing online, it wasn't a saturated space. I don't know if you can imagine that, but 5 years ago, no one did this. It was like a weird thing to do. So I definitely had first mover advantage, which is to say that I was not one of the first. There were people doing it way before me, but I was on the trajectory of it becoming popular. So obviously I have to be self-aware about that. So my advice to you would be, do not think too hardly about the fact that it's saturated. Instead, think about what unique spin you can bring to the space, right? And that's honestly something that I'm trying to figure out right now, because it is a popular space at the moment. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, well, how can I tweak my content to make it more unique? And that's something that you should just be thinking about. You can be talking about the same topics as someone else, but just be talking about them in a different way. I hope that helps. Fine, you caught me today. I'm glad you did, David. Thank you. Do you recommend taking a marketing course on CXL? Wait, what's CXL? Am I being silly? What's CXL? Um, I'll answer your question in general. Do I recommend taking a marketing course? Again, let's be self-aware. I did my degrees in marketing, and I've taken a few additional courses for that, like the IPA, the Institute Practitioners of Advertising. I took their foundations and advanced course. I did a bunch of other ones. I quite liked learning in my 20s. I don't think I needed to necessarily. I think it depends on where you're trying to get to. I don't think you need these courses to work in marketing. I think one of my USPs is that I take marketing theory into what I'm talking about. I mean, in this call alone, I've spoken about like macro environmental factors. I spoke about the scale of problem awareness for your audience. Like, I do naturally bring up a lot of marketing theory, which helps me, I think. I think it helps with my credibility. I mean, feel free to tell me if I'm wrong, but that's what I think. So for me, these courses that I did, yeah. And if you want to become a creator or a thought leader that does the same thing, then yeah. But if you don't, then you probably don't need to. It also, I will say, let's think about what stage you're at in terms of your understanding of marketing, and also how you learn. Like, if you are at a stage where you feel like you really don't understand it and you respond well to courses, then maybe it's the right shout. So there's no blanket answer, I'm afraid, but hopefully I gave you a few things to think about. All right, a couple questions left, and then I'm going to log off and have lunch. You see how you just defined your agency. I don't know how to define the one we'd like to start. So tell me, Poppy, in terms of what I said for your agency being a production agency that specializes in social first content, does that feel aligned to you? If you could let me know in the next 2 minutes, that'd be great. Because that to me is what you're trying to create. Like, that to me is the definition. Hi Jade, as a Nigerian content creator, does your system work for us over here? And please, what's your advice on building up a faceless channel? Um, I don't have much experience building channels in Nigeria, so I don't want to pretend like I know for sure and be like, yeah, it works for you over there. All I would say is consume my free content. Don't buy anything paid from me yet in case it doesn't actually work. Just consume my free content and trial it for 3 months and see. That's my biggest advice would be to you, because there's a lot of I don't just talk about one potential, I don't just talk about one workflow or one system. There's quite a few different things that I talk about on my channel. So I think find a few to test, try it for 3 months and see if it's working for you. And if it's not, then maybe another creator is best placed or best suited. Hopefully mine does help though. And then the second half of the question was, what's my advice on building up a faceless channel? I have such a love-hate relationship with faceless channels, guys, because at the end of the day, if that's what people want to create, then that's amazing, because it gives you an opportunity to do that without showing your face. But so much of my quote unquote success has, I don't like saying that, that sounded cringy. Let me think of something else to say. So much of my growth in terms of audience, in terms of my businesses, has come from me showing my face and building my personal brand by showing my face. And I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't say that. I do think if you show your face, you are potentially going to reach your goals more quickly than if you don't. And I don't have any experience in building a faceless account. And if I'm being honest, it's not an area that I've studied. So I'm never one to pretend to know something. Instead, I would rather you go onto YouTube and you search faceless accounts, strategies and tips, and find a really amazing YouTube creator who shares a lot of free valuable content, and just consume theirs. They'll have so much of a better answer for you. But if you do decide that you want to share your face, I'm your gal. and come back to my channel. All right, I'm gonna come off now. Well, I'm gonna stay and answer the rest of the questions, but that last question from Edgewood Entertainment. Okay, one more just came through from Bronte. I'm gonna stop after answering that. I teach women how to create their first digital product. Oh my God, what's wrong with me? I desperately need to eat. I teach women how to create their first digital product. I now have over 300 Instagram followers, but they are all other women who already have a digital product. Who should I keep trying to attract? It sounds like that's not your desired audience. Get really clear on who your desired audience are. So it sounds like it's people who don't already have a digital product. And then once you've defined who those people are, break down what their pain points are and start to create content that helps them with that, right? So if they don't already have a digital product and they're right at the early stages of their process, then maybe you need to create really early beginner content that wouldn't necessarily attract the audience that you currently have. Or maybe they're not even aware of digital products and what they are. And if that's the case, you have to think about what they might be searching for that will lead them to you. So like ways to create passive income. Passive income, it doesn't even really exist. Nothing's really passive, but you know what I mean. Or maybe they're searching for like side hustle ideas, etc. Next one. Hello there, two questions. So I've been feeling a bit pigeonholed. I talk about fandom, TV, Bridgerton, and I love it. Amazing. But I also want to talk and share about who I am as a creator. Any advice? So there's two things you could do here. You could either do my normal strategy, which is like pick your content pillars. That's 80% of your content. 20% of your content is whatever you want. So maybe that's just where you talk about who you are as a creator, and that's kind of it. That will still keep you in the niche of like talking about entertainment shows though. So if you still want to keep that niche but talk about your life, then that's what I recommend. If you want to diversify your niches, then you need to split them down the middle, and you have to effectively talk about both in a way that will appeal to the same audience. So when you're talking about your life as a creator, do it through the lens of entertainment content. Find some ways to weave it in so that you're not alienating any of your audience. Hi, what tips would you give someone who struggles with being on screen for their content? Film somewhere where you feel comfortable. I started filming on my sofa. I made sure Jamie, my husband, wasn't in the flat so he couldn't hear me because I got embarrassed, and that really helped me relax. Very controversial opinion. People are going to disagree with me. My first like 8 to 10 videos, I'm not looking at the camera lens, I'm looking at the screen. So I was filming on my phone and I was looking at myself, I wasn't looking at the lens. That is not what you're supposed to do. And now when you watch my content, I'm very much looking at the lens, but it helped me relax so much. It really helped me build my confidence presenting, and it really just made me feel better because I was looking at a face and a human. So if you need to do that for your first few videos, then you do that. You do what you've got to do, right? Hopefully that helps. All right. Oh wait, sorry, Bronte. How do you manage my editing? I have an editor. So that's a bit of a life hack. I don't manage my editing. No, I have an editor. Also, if I ever have to edit stuff myself, I use Riverside, who is a sponsor of this live, by the way. So you can find a link to Riverside in the description, and you can get 15% off when you upgrade your Riverside plan. But I use Riverside because they have a bunch of AI tools which make it really easy for you to edit your content, cut your content, find the best clips, remove the filler words, remove the dead space, enhance your audio, like all of that. And also I'm hosting this live through Riverside as well. I love filming, but editing is a long time. Do you recommend outsourcing? So I always recommend that you do it yourself first for a while, but it sounds like you're already doing that. Check out Riverside, see if those tools are a good fit, because you're always going to have to do some form of editing yourself. When you get to the stage where you really don't have the time for it, see if you can find an editor. I've got an editor, as I mentioned, I've had an editor for years, and she's incredible. So yeah, I hope that helps. Okay. Apparently I missed someone, so I will try and find it. I can't find. If I missed it and you want me to answer, can you just drop what the question is very, very quickly? Because I can't, searching through all of it to find it is really hard, and I've really got to go. So I can't. Okay, this is what happens when I start answering more questions. Okay, I'm going to answer Danny's question, and then P Made Family, if you want to re-drop your question, if I've missed it, then feel free to do that. But if not, I can't answer any more questions because I've really got to go. Should I be on a meeting right now? I don't think so, but let me just double check I'm not missing a call. Hold on. No. Okay. Oh, I've just lost all my messages. Let me go back. All right. I have a similar question like Bronte. My channel is music news, but I want to add personal vlogs. Should I make another channel? So same answer, I think, for you, Danny. That's what it's dependent on is what's your goals here. So having a whole nother channel is not usually something I recommend because that is twice as much work. So unless you have the capacity to do twice as much work, then I wouldn't recommend it. I think listen back to that question. Thanks, guys. He was like, I should go eat. I should go eat. I'm so bad at this. This is why I always say I'm just going to do half an hour, but I find it really hard not to answer everyone's questions. Thank you so much for joining this live, my loves. I really hope you found it useful. And yeah, I hope to see you in my next YouTube video. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. I'm just waiting to make sure there's no lag. Bye, guys.